Chapter 11. Who Stole the Tarts? The king and the queen sat on their thrones in the court. There was a big crowd around them, all kinds of little birds, small animals, and the whole pack of carts. The knave stood before them in chains. The white rabbit stood near the king. He held a trumpet in one hand and a scroll of parchment in the other. In the middle of the court was a table with a big plate of tarts on it. Alice looked around her attentively. She never saw a full court before, but she read about the court in the books. She knew the judge, the juror box, and the jurors. The jurors were little animals. They wrote something quickly on the paper. Then the white rabbit cried, "Silence in a court!" After that, he blew 3 times on the trumpet and then opened the parchment and started to read. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts. On a summer's day, the knave of hearts who stole those tarts and took them all away. "Call the first witness," cried the king. The first witness was the hatter. He came in with a cup of tea in one hand and a piece of a sandwich in the other. The hatter looked at the marsh rabbit. The dormouse and the marsh rabbit followed him into the court. "Take off your hat," said the king. "It isn't mine. I keep this hat to sell. I am a hatter," said the hatter. "Give your evidence then, and don't be scared," said the king. But the hatter shook with fear the whole time. In his fear, he bit a big piece out of his cup instead of the sandwich. Just at that time, Alice felt very strange. She began to grow big again. Anyway, she decided to stay in the court to see what would happen next. The queen looked at the hatter and asked someone to bring her the list of the singers in the last concert. The hatter began to shake so much that he took his shoes off at once. Then at last he started to speak. "I am a poor man, your majesty, and I didn't have my tea that day. My sandwich became so dry and thin. Once the marsh rabbit said," began the hatter. "I didn't say," cried the marsh hare. "You did," cried the hatter. "Go on, please," said the king. Then the hatter looked at the dormouse. He was fast asleep. "Anyway, the dormouse said, 'Actually, I decided to cut some more bread,'" said the hatter. "But what did the dormouse say?" asked the king. "I don't remember," answered the hatter. "If that's all you know about it, you can go now," said the king. And the hatter ran away at once. He didn't even put his shoes on. "Call the next witness," cried the king. The next witness was a Duchess cook. He carried the pepper shaker in his hand. The king looked at the cook attentively. "What are tarts made of?" asked the king. "Pepper," answered the cook. "Treacle," said the dormouse. "Catch that dormouse, cut off his head," cried the queen. Then the whole court started to scream. Next, the soldiers put the dormouse into a big bag and sat on it. Soon there was a silence again in the court. The king asked for the next witness. The white rabbit looked over his parchment. Alice felt curious who the next witness would be. Suddenly, the white rabbit cried the name, "Alice!"